7:15. The Vail Pavilion catches the last of the harbor sun on brass flutes. Eleonora Cato, silver braid charcoal coat, steps past the rear balcony curtain with a leather satchel to her ribs. A gloved hand reaches past her shoulder. Cut to black. 7:48. A coat folded wrong on stone. Floodlights snap to full. Eleonora lies on the concrete apron, coat fanned out, satchel a foot from her right hand. Knox and Leen drop into the well. Leen kneels at the satchel. Knox looks up 40 feet to the balcony rail and counts the drop in his head. The satchel gapes on a newsprint clipping and a registry of deeds pull, a single name circled in pencil. Dr. Hawley kneels at the balcony base under working blue field jacket zipped against the harbor wind. She slides the thermal probe into the liver and reads the dial without blinking. She lowers her wire-rimmed glasses a half-inch down her nose. Core temperature pins death between 7:26 and 7:29, she says flat, before the sun broke the harbor edge. She logs the reading at 8:04. Up on the terrace, the speech runs on its rails. Ambrose Vail stands at the brass podium in dark brown tweeds, silver-gray side-combed, and thanks the Heritage Council in a baritone that does not rush. He taps the brass top of his burled maple cane once against flagstone. His eyes find Knox across the folding chairs. His mouth shapes the word detective. Knox's watch hand stops cold. Mara Quinn catches Knox at the cordon forest green wool, press badge at the lapel, leather notebook open in her left palm. She asks whether the victim filed any records request the week before and does not wait. She slides the notebook across, a single name in tight reporter's hand. Galen Rowe. The 1978 harbor deed runs in the morning edition, she says, and walks back toward the service. The bullpen at 10 in the evening. Captain Brennan sets her walnut cane against the desk leg and opens a thin manila folder between them. Eleonora was a civic historian, she says, and the pavilion is a Vail property, which means the file moves inside the Heritage Division by morning. She presses her thumb into her palm and holds it. Run it clean, detective. Paperwork in order. No corner cut. At Knox's desk under a green-shaded lamp, Leen spreads the satchel flat. A 1978 Ashvale Courier clipping, headline on the Vail Harbor acquisition. A black and white photograph of a faded brass survey stake at Pier 2, V-crest stamped across its top. A registry poll showing the longshoremen's leadership roster with Reuben Cato's name absent. A single name circled in pencil below. Knox reads the name. His watch hand stops cold. 11 at night at the Seaward drink station, floodlights soften to working blue. Rook Cho kneels in black latex gloves and bags Eleanora's recovered flute. A cranberry red trace rings the rim in the precise shape of a pressed lower lip. He logs the bag on the tablet without looking up. If it is not in the bag, he says flat, it did not happen. The crate seals. A precinct case file card composes over the interview room ambient. Galen Rowe's portrait above labeled Rose, estate manager to Ambrose Vail public event host. Stated alibi at the brass podium side panel from 7:15 through speech end. Relationship to the victim listed as event host only. No stamp yet. The card reads as clean identity. This is who the man is on paper. Suspect, Galen Rowe. Stated alibi. Brass podium side panel from 7:15 to speech end at 7:35. Champagne service after. Inferred opportunity. 13-minute gap between last podium glance and first guest handshake. Interview room 1 the next morning. Galen Rowe sits across the table in the charcoal three-piece slim leather portfolio flat between his hands. He slides a printed, still across Eleonora in her coat and scarf leaning on the balcony rail, timestamp 7:42. She was alive past the sun drop, he says. Does this close the file? Knox turns the still face down, face up, face down. The rail shadow cuts the frame at 22 degrees east. Suspect, Priya Talon. Stated alibi, Seaward drink station from 7 until 7:40. Logged by 3 uniformed officers on perimeter. Inferred opportunity, no opportunity window if perimeter logs hold up. Marcus Okoro takes interview room 2. White chef's jacket under the navy windbreaker braided catering lanyard, still around his neck. 4-line cooks on the pass from 6:45 to 8, he says. Radio log confirms 2 menu question calls at 7:03 and 7:31. He lifts the lanyard and sets the master key flat on the table. He answers each question once and does not repeat himself. At the bullpen terminal, Leen pulls the rear stair carpet photograph up on dual monitors. A wine spill cups the second landing in a wet arc. Fibers stain dark cranberry under working blue. A tray track swab opens beside it, the brand's spout angle matching clean. Not a struggle. A line cook's 7:31 pass, logged by the pantry camera, closes the question. Knox nods once and turns the monitor away. Brennan's office, early afternoon. The 1978 Courier clipping, the brass stake photograph, and the registry poll lie open under the reading lamp. She sets her tortoiseshell glasses on the blotter and listens all the way through. Reuben Cato's name was buried by design, she says, and the design was old before we were in uniform. She presses her thumb into her palm. Push the physical case hard. The deed is the why, not the lever. Interview room 1 again. Rowe adjusts his posture, portfolio flat beneath his right hand. He had said 7:15 at the podium side panel. Now he is sure it was 7:10. Knox repeats the 3 words back, flat, the podium side panel. Rowe's gray-blue eyes drop half an inch to the tabletop. His thumb presses the portfolio's brass catch. 5 minutes opens a different kind of gap than the one his original alibi closed. The Ashvale Harbor Observatory reading room at dusk, a wooden counter under a brass reading lamp. The duty clerk spreads a printed sunlog page flat for Knox, shadow angle readings at 15-minute ticks across the evening of the ribbon cutting. 22 East circled at 1925. Harbor Edge Sunbreak circled at 1929. 4 minutes either side of the rail shadow. Knox folds the printout once and slides it into his pocket. The precinct upper gallery, late evening, under lamplight. Knox lays the observatory page flat across the surveillance still and taps forefinger to thumb once, twice, a third time. The rail shadow on the still angles 22 East. The sunlog circle says that geometry lives at 725, not 742. The pavilion controller stamped a lie. A magnifier slides in. The red annotation lands. Shadow angle 22 East lives at 725. The evidence locker at headquarters, cold blue fluorescence, cage gate rolled half open. Rook flips the intake tablet to the Cato research file line. Bag number A2241 assigned by the precinct archivist. He walks to the custody cage and thumbs the cardstock tag on the paper bag. A 2247. 6-digit drift, chain of custody broken. He logs the discrepancy, signs the entry, and turns away mid-sentence to file the anomaly upstream. The bullpen corkboard holds a tight sequence. The submitted 742 still at center. The observatory page pinned beside it, 22 East circled. Dr. Hale's core temperature log below. The 726 to 729 windows circled. The wine spill swab in its bag. The rear stair keyprint card. The cranberry flute bag. The bag number drift photocopy. Pinned across the lower third, 3 portraits. Rowe, Tallinn, Okoro. A charcoal sleeve, a navy cuff, pressing pins flat, brass rail, pale concrete, harbor fog coming in. The briefing room dims to a low deduction act blue. A timeline band slides across the lower frame, 7:15 through 7:50. Markers drop in order. Begins at 7:15. Rowe logs off the podium panel at 7:20. Eleonora walks the rear corridor at 7:23. Rowe meets her at the balcony at 7:25. Harbor Edge Sunbreak at 7:29. The fabricated still stamps at 7:42. The stamp pulses red and crosses out. A case file card slides in over the bullpen terminal light. Priya Talon's portrait above labeled Rose. Event coordinator, liaison, and friend. Stated alibi at the Seaward drink station from 7 to 7:40 with 3 uniformed officers on perimeter. The cranberry trace on the flute traces flat to the victim's own shade. 1 tone darker from evening light drift, not Talon's. A rubber stamp overprint lands in green, cleared. Rowe had remembered the podium side panel under the amber speechlights, he said. The brass rail warm beneath his right hand from 7:15 through 7:35. Guests' faces lifting toward Ambrose Vail at the lectern. A low string motif rising under the applause. He had seen Eleanor at the drink station at 7:17 with her flute in hand, he said, and had not seen her again until the floodlights below. A tall cork wall, fully assembled now. 3 portraits anchor the upper row. Rowe at left. Tallinn at center with a green checkmark. Okoro at right with a green checkmark. A red question mark and a red underline sit beside Rowe. The still and the sunlog page overlap at center. The 22 East rail shadow circled in red across both. A typed index card holds 5 words: speech, balcony, push, stand-in, stamp. Minutes don't lie. People do. 3 suspects assembled under the pavilion's bronze chandeliers. Folding chairs cleared back. Knox walks the timeline back. Tallinn held the drink station, the full window. 3 officers on perimeter. The cranberry on the flute was the victim's own shade drifted by evening light. Okoro ran the kitchen pass from 6:45. 4 line cooks on record. The wine spill on the stair was a tray cycle slip at 7:31. Knox lifts the surveillance still and sets it beside the sunlog page. 22 East, 7:25. 4 minutes before the sun broke the harbor edge. Doctor. Hale's window closes at 7:29. A still is a fabrication. Galen Rowe met Eleonora at the balcony at 7:25 and walked back to the champagne service with a stage time on his side. Rowe's jaw sets. A case file card slides over the composition, rubber-stamped arrested in red. Rowe sits through the deduction without standing up. He folds his hands flat on the table. A polished Oxford steps in from the corridor. Ambrose Vail's personal attorney in gray worsted, leather brief under the left arm. The research file's chain of custody is broken, he says, and the balcony controller clock is pavilion property under the Heritage Division. The complaint does not survive a motion to dismiss. Rowe rises, shrugs the jacket straight, walks out past Knox without meeting his eye. Brennan's office the following afternoon. The research file's paper bag sits on the blotter between them, cardstock tag still reading at 22:47. Brennan presses her thumb into her palm and holds it one beat longer than the conversation expects. The file is gone, Detective. The Heritage Division will sign it out inside 24 hours on a transfer request that reads clean on paper. We will not get it back. She lifts her chin once, level. Run the next one the same way. The next one will be the one that sticks. Pavilion Terrace at dusk the next evening. The folding chairs struck. The velvet cordon rolled and stacked. The brass podium shrouded in canvas. Ambrose Vail crosses the flagstone toward the waiting town car, burled maple cane in his right hand, tweed three-piece catching the harbor wind at the hem. He tips the cane once in Knox's direction across the empty terrace without breaking stride. The three-note low-string motif lifts under the wind and holds. Knox's watch hand stops cold. The Esplanade at dawn. Harbor fog rolls in off the bay in slow gray sheets. Knox sits on a bench, the morning courier folded open on his lap. Ambrose Vail at the podium, cane resting against the brass. Leen walks up with two paper coffees and sets one beside him. Her free hand lifts halfway toward his sleeve, stops short, settles back at her side. Neither speaks. A 1978 harbor deed, somewhere under the city, has not finished settling.